Well, good morning. Well, this morning I thought I'd give you my opinions at this point on straw bale gardening. Well, and show you what I've done wrong in places and what you might be able to do better. Okay? First of all, my main objection is that the straw bales just dry out on top way too fast. I planted seeds like the guy says to do it by putting a thin layer of topsoil down, or potting mix is what I used, and planting into that. Didn't work. Very, very little came up. Couple of things. Couple of plants, literally. I planted quite a few radishes, beets, leaf lettuce. None of that stuff came up at all. So that's not so good. Now, I'll be honest, this year we did not have that period in April where it rained for 3 or 4 days at a time like we always get. So that was a contributing factor. But still, it was not so good. And even with starting plants and then sticking them out in it, boy, you got to water that thing constantly until those plants get big enough that they get roots that are going down into that bale a ways. One way to correct that, and I'm fixing to do as quick as I can, is get a timed irrigation system going. I'm going to do one that uses soaker hose that you can cut into lengths and graft, put it how you want it. I'm going to do that, and then put a timer on it so that it'll come on twice a day and water for a certain period of time. That'll kind of help cure the problem. I think ongoing in the future, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick with this for at least a while because I do like some facets of it. You know, it's nice working with the straw bales. They're elevated. You're not down on your hands and knees ever. That's okay. That part's good. And I think with an irrigation system, that would be just all right. I like that, and I like the idea that after a year or two, those bales are broken down. They're done. There's not much left. Well, basically, that's free compost, you know? So I'll use that to go in and revitalize my container soil. You know, dump one out at a time, add a bunch of compost to it, stir it up, and that way my container fleet will grow as I go, because I like those a lot, and it's a lot of fun. So, all right, well, I'm going to come and pick up the camera, and I'm going to show you what I mean, and kind of talk a little more about it. All right, and it's sunny out here, so I can't really see. The carrots in containers are doing real good. They're just fine. Now, I mentioned before the Royal Chutney, we didn't get very good germination. These we did fine, and they're growing good. All right, here's one mistake I made. I planted too close to the end of a row. That dries out quicker, and boom, that spelled the end of that plant. All right, out of squash seeds that I planted, I got one, and he just came up lately. Okay, the onions are kind of sad shape. They're starting to do better now, starting to perk up, but I lost a lot of ground, not understanding right at first that these things were going to dry out that fast and they weren't holding the water. All right, there's a little pepper plant I stuck in there. This is one I started in the basement. And on the next row, I've got a couple of tomatoes and a pepper because nothing came up here, so I filled it with those plants that I'd started. And these are some marigolds, and then among it is some cucumbers. We're going to try these. The cucumbers I planted didn't show up, so these are not a pickling cucumber like I wanted. but you can still make pickles out of them. What the heck, right? All right. This larger pepper plant's a little bit stressed right now. It's middle of the day and hot. It'll get better here real quick. There's one of the little ones I started. And there's the same thing. And I got peppers all down this row except at the end. At the end here, I've got another little nest of cucumbers. This one kind of fooled me. I'm not real tickled about this one. I bought these at Walmart. That was what was convenient. And I put 2 packages of cucumber starts out of a flat where the name on the end of it was the burpless cucumber. Well, when I got them home and pulled the little stakes out, you know, that mark what they are, this is what I found. I bought a lemon cucumber. There was a lemon cucumber in there. Probably can't use, I don't know if you can use those for pickles or not. Somebody tell me in the comments. All right, this is another squash and some marigolds to help it stay away from the squash bugs. And a stray tomato that I started myself. And then we've got a couple more tomato plants. So I don't have near the variety that I expected to have, but that's okay. You know, that's all right. You can always get rid of tomatoes. And so, you know, and peppers. I plan on canning those for pickled peppers. So anyway, and nothing's big enough to tie to the grill arches, but we're on our way, I think, there. So all right, that's what I know. Like I say, I kind of like the straw bale gardening. At this point, the straw bales are broken down well inside. When I was putting plants out the other day, the trowel just sunk into them. I mean, it was really soft and nice inside. And like I say, I'm sure down in the bale, there's sufficient moisture. It's just that the outside dries out so fast. All right. And maybe there's another solution to that, and I'm going to keep looking and keep thinking about it, because you never know when something's going to pop up, you know, and wow, gee, yeah, I could do that, you know, so we'll see. But in the meantime, like I say, I tend to, for next year, I'm going to take half of these. I don't know what 2 rows I'll tear up, but just whatever the mood strikes me, probably. And I'm going to pile them up with a bunch of fertilizer in between them and let them compost down so that by next year, I'm not buying bags of potting mix. I can use the compost to start plants. I can use it to put on top of the bales if I feel like that's something I want to do again. I can use it to perk up my container mixes. So, and I'll just start 2 new rows every year. And every year I'll compost, you know, 8 bales. So that ought to work pretty good. I do have a friend that does this, but he does it different than this. He does, he takes his fodder, and he will use hay or straw, whatever he can get. But he takes it and puts it out in the fall and just loads it with a ton of fertilizer. And then he just ignores it until spring. And he says that by spring, you know, it's ready. That's freezing and thawing, and it goes ahead and heats up over the winter. And by spring, it's ready to plant. And he doesn't have all the muss and fuss of doing the 2 weeks of water today, fertilize tomorrow, and water the next day, and fertilize the next day and water. He doesn't have to do that. So I may just follow suit with that. I may bring in my new rows, my 8 bales, in the fall, hit them really good with fertilizer, and fertilize the old bales and stack them up so that they can break down over the winter, and then be ready to go next spring. Another thing I've considering doing is, because I'm going to set up a soaker hose deal, I may put a bale across the end of these 2 rows and a bale across this end of those 2 rows. It won't make anything less accessible. You know, you just might have to walk around the road to get up in the middle. But that would allow me to lay soaker hose flat the whole way, not have to do a lot of splicing. And I think that'd be a good plan. Well, okay, that's it. If you've done this, you know, let me know how it worked for you. And I'll keep you clued in on what's going on around here. So, in fact, I'm going to, here in the next few days, start a few collard greens indoors, get them going, so that I can put those out in the fall and run them for a while. And I may do some other stuff, I don't know. I've got plenty of seed in there, so I may decide I want something else too. But for now, I'm thinking collard greens. All right, well, I want you all to have a quality day. Thank you.